Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from downtown Baton Rouge.
Let's ride! Woo!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Decision Critical, Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man.
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You suck. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Man, we are loaded up today. ESPN's Bill Connelly in 15 minutes. Our Fantasy Blitz returns later this hour. Matt Bellinson from the Ruston Leader talking Louisiana Tech. We've got Lee Sterling's best bets. We've got Louisiana Tech head coach Sonny Cumbie in hour 3. Mike Triplett in hour 3. I told y'all, we are loaded up. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
The New Orleans Saints are on the practice field, and we will get the injury report in about an hour, and we're going to be keeping an eye on Chase Young. Now, we knew yesterday that Chase Young was on the injury report, limited with a calf injury. And the initial report was that there was really nothing. It didn't seem like there was anything to fear that he was going to be out there. Well, a short time later, Nick Underhill reported that his tweet, and this was at 5:26 p.m. Wednesday. Nick Underhill tweeted, sounds like this weekend could be at risk day to day. See how it goes. So that was after the initial report that they thought it wasn't expected to be anything too serious. Short time later, let's see. Now, the New Orleans Saints are still on the practice field, but we're going to wait and see what the injury report holds. Because if Chase Young is not practicing today, and from some of the intel that I've gotten, it sounds like maybe he wasn't practicing today. Then you have a real question about his availability for Sunday. Because if you're a DNP late in the week, usually by Friday, you've got to be at least out there moving around for a realistic option, an opportunity to be active on Sunday. And when you talk about Kyler Murray and the athleticism and his ability to hurt you with your feet, you want an athletic edge who you paid $51 million to. I could also go back and say, signed Chase Young, one of the questions was the injury history that he suffered in Washington and then had the neck injury and played very well for New Orleans a year ago. But this is one we're going to have to watch. Again, the injury report will be out next hour. and we'll know definitively what Chase Young's injury report status is as of today, Thursday. But that's one apparently we're going to have to wait and see for the season opener Sunday in the Dome against Arizona. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Did we hit the Bud Light Open? We did hit the Bud Light Open. Okay. We are brought to you by Bud Light. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints, and the official beer of the LSU Tigers. Both home teams are at home this weekend. Home opener for LSU, season opener for the New Orleans Saints. You're going to be partying, tailgating. Make sure you're drinking with the delicious ice cold, refreshing taste of Bud Light in the officially licensed LSU cans and 16-ounce aluminum bottles, and the black New Orleans Saints cans as well. If you're going to be at around the Dome, make sure you're drinking easy with the official beer of the Saints and the Tigers, Bud Light, our great friends at Mockler Beverage. Okay. LSU's gearing up for Saturday's game, the home opener in Tiger Stadium against Louisiana Tech. But if we're all being quite candid and honest, LSU's a 37.5-point favorite. No one is expecting this game to be very competitive. This is going to be a great opportunity, I would assume, for a lot of players that we got to watch all throughout fall camp, maybe to make their first real impactful moments of this season. Some guys who maybe didn't play on Saturday, didn't play a big role. Ashton Stamps comes to mind. Chris Hilton, who only had the one catch in the fumble. Feels like a really good opportunity. Harlem Berry to get out there and maybe get a lot more playing time and give some of your regulars a bit of a rest, a bit of a lighter workload before you play Florida next week. Well, this was also an opportunity to talk to some of the transfers who met with reporters on Wednesday night after practice. Mansour Delane among them, and Josh Thompson as well. And I thought it was so interesting listening to both these guys when they were asked why they picked LSU. And admittedly, it's a little bit of an odd question to be asking, a conversation to be having right in the middle of a game week. Why you picked LSU 6 months ago. But at the same time, when you don't have an opportunity to talk to these guys throughout spring or throughout fall camp, this is the first opportunity. And so some of these questions were asked, and it was interesting how similar Thompson and Mansour Delane's answers paralleled each other. Like, this is what Josh Thompson said why he picked LSU.
I had a lot of conversation with Coach Davis and Coach Sloan on the way in, and a lot of the conversations were just surrounded about what the ultimate goal was for this season. And I looked at what they were doing in the offseason. It looked like they were building something really special here. And since I was a kid, it was my dream to win a national championship. And so that opportunity to chase a national championship is everything. And I talked to Nuss. Nuss was a big part of the recruitment process for me, and we became really close in that process, and it was a really exciting opportunity for me.
He said his lifelong goal, was to win a national championship. He didn't say, I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to make a bunch of money and get to the NFL. He said his goal was to win a national championship. Now, the money happened for all these guys. Don't misunderstand. But the point I've made and continue to make that LSU can offer as a differentiator is the opportunity to win a championship when all these guys come together and you supplement at the right spot. Yes, they're all making money. And the money matters. Of course it does. But it's two-pronged. Money and the chance to win. Mansour Delane said effectively the same thing.
I think I seen it when I was in the portal. I'm seeing commitment after commitment. I'm like, oh, this looks like a good little spot for me. And then obviously knowing what was already coming back with Nussmeier and Perk and, kind of knowing ththese wit and just these different pieces coming together, I'm like, it just makes no sense for me not to come here. So, and then when I got here, everything lived up to it. The mindset, it's a championship team, and I want to be part of it.
Mindset of a championship team. Mindset of a championship team. I love that from both these guys because it's interesting to me, maybe just from the perspective of someone who goes to a lot of press conferences and listens to a lot of media availability, hears a lot of coach speak, and when you start to see parallels, and so often what you see when there's alignment within an organization or a college program or something is when the players are parroting the coach. When the coach says something a certain way, and then you go into player interviews when the coaches aren't around and the players are saying the same thing and phrasing it the same way. And you hear a lot of those undertones with these players from what we hear Brian Kelly say. And that's a part of it, like building the championship culture and wanting to win a championship. The going 1-0 piece that everyone is sort of talking about. So I think maybe it just continues to validate this feeling about this transfer portal class, because it's one thing to add talent. It's even greater to add talent at a position of need. Mansour Delane's a great example of that, right? He's a talented player, but he's also a talented player at a position of need. Like LSU needed cornerback help. So you had A.J. Halsey. LSU was very bad at safety. You had a talented player at a position of need. But when you have a talented player at a position of need who's experienced and who's bought in to win a championship, that's the part that I think ties all this together. You know, on Monday, Brian Kelly gave a couple of examples when he was talking about a couple of defensive plays where, you know, on the last play of the game where Harold Perkins got the pressure, it was Patrick Payton who ate up a block that allowed Perkins to become a free rusher. On P.J. Woodland's sack on the third play of the game, it was Jack Pyburn who crashed in and created that lane for Woodland. So you hear Brian Kelly say, play your 1/11th, right? Play your 1/11th, meaning do your job. Just the 1 out of the 11, do the one thing you're supposed to do on the play. And you hear a lot of these players in the press conferences talk about doing their 1/11th in these plays. And so I guess what it tells me is the message from the coaches are resonating. It's sinking in with these players. And it's a reason why when you've got talent and depth and experience and culture and buy-in, those are ingredients for something really special. Now, you got to stay healthy, and it's a long season. There's a lot of variables that'll happen along the way, and they haven't faced adversity yet. What happens when you lose a game? I mean, it feels inevitable at some point. Like at some point, this team will probably lose a game. I mean, I think they just won the toughest game on their schedule, but there's plenty of landmines all over. So how do you handle adversity when it comes? Like they handled adversity Saturday at Clemson, South Carolina. Over and over again, they answered the bell when they handled adversity. You know, not getting points at the end of the first half. The Berrien Brown, what we thought was a touchdown taken off the board. The fumble early in the game from Bauer Sharp, which led to LSU's defense came up with a great stop to hold them to 3. Like they handled adversity great in the micro. What about in the macro? Maybe we'll find out. We'll certainly find out at some point this season. But love what you hear from these veteran guys and these transfers and why they're in Baton Rouge. All these guys, Mansour Delane, Josh Thompson, they're going to get their first opportunity. Some 40 players are going to get their first opportunity to suit up in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. All right, it's After Further Review. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge, who was visiting with Blazier earlier today. It's really simple what they do. They're concierge nurses. It's not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle, whatever you need. Maybe you just got a newborn baby at home. You want to be able to sleep through the night. Bring in one of their concierge nurses throughout the night to take care of the baby while you and your wife sleep, or you and your husband sleep, so you can be more functional, more present throughout the day. Maybe you're caring for an elderly parent, and you need help at home caring for an elderly parent. Decision Critical can help. It's in-home care. It's private duty nursing. It's decision critical. It's not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle. DecisionCriticalBR.com. DecisionCriticalBR.com. Okay, we're going to knock out our first break. Come back. Bill Connelly, he of ESPN, who created the SP Plus rankings. We're going to talk some college football with Bill Connelly when we come back. He's also got a new book coming out as well. Excited to do that. And our Fantasy Blitz with Darin Tietgen returns in 30 minutes. So start lining up your questions. Email us, tweet us, or text your questions. Personalized fantasy football advice. It's coming up in 30 minutes on AFR.
After Further Review.
Man, the response to this has been outstanding. I was talking to Darren James just 2 days ago, and they relaunched agent225.com. He's redesigned and reimagined and upgraded and updated agent225.com. It's the most user-friendly website in real estate. Every home listed by every company all in one place, agent225.com, agent225.com. But no matter where you live, if you want an immediate home value appraisal, you can get it like in less than 30 seconds. Agent225.com. On the homepage, you'll see the home value tab. You enter your address, and in a matter of seconds, you'll have your home value appraised right there. So then you can know, okay, well, what's your home worth? What could you sell it for? How much equity do you have in that home? What could you put as a down payment on a new home if you're looking to move? It's easy. It's at agent225.com. Agent225.com. You need to sell your home. You need Darin James.
Think real estate. Think Darin James.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
No Thursday college football game this week with the start of the NFL season, but a gigantic weekend ahead. Always a great time to talk college football with Bill Connelly. He, the creator of the SP Plus rankings and the author of a new book, Forward Progress, the definitive guide to the future of college football. Bill's good enough to join us. Great to have you back, Bill. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. So as if you're not already busy with fans hating you because of your rankings, you decided to go put out a book because you had nothing. You just had so much free time to do, right? What was the genesis behind the idea of the book?
Well, I think just this moment in time with, all these things that we've been arguing about for 60 years suddenly happening and changing and almost kind of getting out of our control a little bit. I thought it was, I just started to realize that I didn't have a vision for where things should go. And I usually do. Even if that vision's not going to happen, I got the vision. And so figured it was kind of worth the time in these last couple off seasons to step back and just, walk through the history of conference realignment, history of arguing about a playoff, history of arguing about paying players, history of why the heck doesn't this sport have actual leadership, all these different things, just kind of figure out what we can learn from history and what it might tell us about where things are going now.
What did you learn that you didn't already know covering the sport day to day for your 9 to 5?
Well, it was kind of interesting piecing together, the whole thing about not having a commissioner in this sport and not having leadership. It was that chapter was kind of interesting. Just number one, it's always had a leader. It's just that leader has always had self-interest elsewhere, whether it was the NCAA, buyers for 30-something years, basically just trying to control the TV contract and therefore scare everybody into doing what they need, the NCAA wants, all the way through, once the NCAA versus Board of Regents, the famous Supreme Court case in the 80s happened, there was a College Football Association, but it fell apart. And then it was just basically who's the most powerful conference commissioner. He's the leader of the sport, even though he has all these self-interests, all these interests of the schools he's representing. And so there was kind of a power grab, and you see what happens when you end up in a situation where everybody's out for themselves and the one with the most power just builds the power.
Yeah, Bill, your content at ESPN, really, you tell me if I'm wrong on this, but it's analytics-driven analysis is really what you do over at ESPN. And it feels like there isn't really an algorithm that you can create that's going to tell us what the future of college football looks like. So how do you piece together a best guess of where we're headed in college football?
Well, I mean, that's you don't. I for the record, the publisher is the one who said definitive. I never said definitive, guys. The future. No, but it was.
I remind people all the time, Bill, the author does not write the headline.
That's right. Well, but it was kind of interesting. Just we always think we know where things are headed, and we get like a mutated version of it. Like we thought we were going to get 4 perfectly balanced 16-team super conferences, and we got 4 super conferences that are not balanced at all, and 2 are much more powerful. And geography is not part of this thing at all. And so it was this mutated vision, and I think that's still, it makes it hard to project, but I am very curious about 5 or so years from now when television media rights contracts come up. I think that's whatever happens next. It's going to be in that kind of range of time where the ACC is close to the end of its grant of rights, with the Big 12 still, expiring in that same time. I can't decide for sure what I think will happen. I don't think anything wild Super League-ish is going to happen, but it'll be very interesting to see where the winds blow then.
Bill Connelly's with us on Twitter at ESPN_Bill C. If you want to give him a follow. The book is Forward Progress, the definitive guide to the future of college football. If I asked you to peer into the crystal ball 10 years ahead, do we have those 4 perfectly balanced 16-team super conferences?
I think that ship has sailed. This is a question of what do we have besides the 2 super conferences, and that's where things could get pretty interesting. I do like all the talk of the Super League that we've heard over these last few years, all the private equity ventures that have tried to jump into the sport and figure out how to wring some money from it. It doesn't feel like that's a viable option for the future, simply because Big Ten and SEC would have to agree to it. They have no reason to agree to it. And so they are, without centralized leadership, they're the ones in control, and they already have about 90% of what they want. So really might be a case of the Big Ten adding a couple more schools and the SEC adding a couple more, and then whatever's left of the Big 12 and ACC kind of forming to the best possible conference from that. And I don't know, it'll be interesting, but I don't think the days of a potentially organized top subdivision power conferences of the sport, I think that might have passed.
Man, it'll be fascinating to see. I think that day probably is headed. We're headed for that day. How it organizes will be fascinating. I agree with you completely, but I don't know. In my mind, it feels like there might be a little bit of an inevitability there. But Bill, when you write a book, I always ask this to authors. When you write a book, there's undoubtedly always things that get left on the cutting room floor. It just can't all go in there. What was something that got cut that maybe you wanted to see in there or would have liked to have seen in there?
Well, it was kind of funny taking the whole saga of arguing about paying players and just making it a chapter. It felt like, that's books have already been written about that. Well, if we ever reach some sort of stasis in the future, more books will be written about that. So basically just taking that and making it a 10,000-word chapter felt like it was either about 9,000 words too many or about 90,000 words too short. Just trying to step back. That was by far the most intimidating chapter. Just trying to step back and figure out what's important enough to mention versus, what can I sacrifice? That was the hardest set of editorial choices because it was a defining battle. And one of the things I can say about where things might be headed is nothing should feel impossible about where we're headed because players are getting paid legally now. And that felt like for a very long time, that was never, ever, ever going to happen, that the defenses were never going to get broken down. And they did. So who knows what might the next unachievable thing might be.
I can't wait to get my hand on the book. It was released on Tuesday of this week, right? The 2nd. Yeah. So Forward Progress, the definitive guide to the future of college football. You can order it at Amazon or wherever you get books. He is Bill Connelly. Bill, before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least get a thought on what we saw the opening weekend. Of course, you put out the SP Plus rankings, and I always like to look at the rating change or the ranking change after a particular week. Yeah. And you had the one biggest drop obviously was Alabama, and Alabama and Notre Dame. Really, Bama fell 9 spots, Notre Dame fell 11 spots. What do you think your numbers tell us about Alabama and Notre Dame and their possibilities of getting into contention this year?
Well, I think with Notre Dame, they felt more spots, but everybody's so clustered together in that range that they didn't fall from a points perspective. They didn't fall as much. Alabama, it was Hawaii first and Alabama second. Those were the biggest drops. And with Alabama, it was just so strange how unprepared their defense seemed for facing a Gus Malzahn offense with Tommy Castellanos. We know it felt like there were a bunch of tendencies that both of those people have kind of given away through the years, and they seemed surprised by everything. They went straight at Castellanos. They didn't just try to contain him like defenses started to do last year, and he escaped and he made plays. It was just very confusing. From a number standpoint, they fell off. They were, ranked. They were rated awfully high in the offseason, obviously in SP Plus. So they were still very much within range, and they could improve a normal amount to be a national title contender. But from an eyeballs perspective, I just didn't expect that defense to not seem to know what it was going up against and be surprised by everything. That was kind of alarming, honestly.
We're obviously here on affiliates all throughout Louisiana. People were excited about LSU's win against Clemson. The Tigers up to number 5. They were 10. They're up to number 5 in SP+. What did we learn about the Tigers this weekend?
Well, the defense really was intriguing. I thought, if Weeks and Perkins are both healthy and they got a bunch of new DNs and a brand new secondary, feels like maybe the pieces are right there. And I spent the entire offseason as a Clemson skeptic, not really buying top 10 hype there, or top 5 hype, I should say. But I still thought that a Clemson offense would score more than 10 points against an LSU defense. And there was really, even their touchdown drive, they had to convert a couple fourth downs to get it done. So that was just about as good as I could have hoped for the LSU defense to look. And you would assume that the offense will score more points moving forward, and if the defense is for real, where's the weakness in that team? It should be pretty interesting these next few weeks.
For the record, Clemson dropped 14 spots to number 25 in the SP Plus rankings. Bill, before you go, what was for you as you look through your rankings, through the data, what was the biggest story coming out of Week 1 in college football?
Points. They went away. It really was pretty fascinating watching so many teams, especially in the bigger games, go to too high against new quarterbacks, just basically say, we'll give you all the 5-yard gains you want. You're going to screw up by midfield and then be proven right. And the fact that we had so many tempo doesn't really work for that many teams anymore. So you had slow drives that took a long time and generated no points, and suddenly the half was over. And it was interesting. I'm curious how teams go about crafting a little bit more big plays moving forward, because that was a different kind of college football than what we're used to.
As someone who bet a lot of unders week one, I was a fan of the defense. He is Bill Connelly on Twitter at ESPN_Bill C. The book is Forward Progress, the definitive guide to the future of college football. You can get it wherever you find books, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, all the places there. Bill, we appreciate it, man. Thanks as always for the time.
Absolutely. Take care. You
do the same. Bill Connelly from ESPN does a great job. Bill's always very, very generous with his time. We a couple of times a year always visit with Bill to talk SP Plus, because as I say the same thing about SP Plus that I do when I talk about things like Pro Football Focus. It's not the definitive metric. It's a metric. It's something to consider, and it takes a very objective viewpoint of the whole of college football. So instead of what people's opinions are, this is looking at data that he plugs in. The analytics, the formula, the algorithm that he's created, plugs it in the computer, it spits out the numbers and gives you something to judge on. So interesting that his computer was not high on Clemson before the season, and clearly LSU has elevated. He was very high on Alabama, who is taking a tumble. We'll see how it continues to play out. I had a great day today. Earlier today, got to go visit with my friends over at ARCO, ARCCO. This is industrial power. When storms come, as unfortunately we are all familiar with here in Louisiana, and power goes out, you wonder who makes sure that businesses, hospitals, nursing homes, grocery stores, gas stations, who makes sure those banks, industrial facilities, those facilities get back online? Well, it's ARCO Power Systems, ARCCO. ARCO Power Systems. By the way, they go as far west as San Antonio. While their headquarters are just off of Airline Highway near I-12 in Baton Rouge, they go as far west as San Antonio. They go east to Mobile. They're even going north. They're moving soon north to Little Rock. You talk about the entire Southeast. They are the leader, and they're a Generac industrial power dealer. So if you're a business owner, or maybe it's a municipality, a city, a government entity, whatever your business may be, universities, chemical plants, banks, hotels, whatever it may be, if you need that industrial generator, either a permanent solution installed at your business, something to rent when an outage may come, or if you need your generator serviced, you want ARCO, ARCCO. ARCCO. It's arco.com. ARCCO for ARCO Power Systems. All right, it's after further review. Now I got a quick break. We'll go around the SEC. Darin Tietgen in 15 minutes. The Fantasy Blitz returns. Darin and I started this segment, I think the first year of AFR, which would have been 2010. It was either 2010 or 2011. So we're going on 14 or 15 years doing this with Darin on Thursdays before the NFL season. So get your personalized fantasy football advice from guys at whotostart.net. And Darin will be with us in 15 minutes. We'll go around the SEC next.
AFR.
Watermark and Renaissance, two amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. And my friend Allison Crump, who's the events coordinator, handles the events for both Renaissance and Watermark. So whether it's Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet, where the LSU football team stays the Friday before every home game, or if it's Watermark in downtown Baton Rouge, the premier hotel property in Baton Rouge, if you're thinking of having an event, a fundraiser, a wedding reception, an awards banquet, maybe you want to have a private dining event, you can do it at either the Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet near I-10 across from the Mall of Louisiana and Perkins Row, or downtown Baton Rouge at Watermark Baton Rouge. Of course, Watermark is Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. I've told you before, I love this component. When you go down the marble staircase in the lobby, it's where all the old bank vaults were. They've hollowed those out, modernized them. You can do private dining or meetings there. It's awesome. It's Watermark Baton Rouge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
If you stay the same, if we're not grinding to get better in everything that we do, I always go back to fundamentals. If we're not grinding to get better, then, when you get everyone's best shot, right? If you stay the same, that's not going to be good enough. You got to find those marginal areas that you can get better at in tackling and ball security, your scheme, everything.
Apparently the flash was running by Nick Sirianni as he was giving that interview. The world was that.
Guess they were changing between graphics. I have no idea.
Whoosh. That was Eagles coach Nick Sirianni. The defending Super Bowl champions open up their title defense. Thursday Night Football, NBC and Peacock. That line has moved a little bit. It was 8.5 this morning. As of this very moment, Philly now a 7.5-point choice over the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, sans Micah Parsons. It feels kind of one-sided given the season Dallas had a year ago, and Dallas is easy to hate and make fun of. But for all of their lack of playoff success, Jera there of late has at least built a team and a roster where they've drafted well and have been capable of winning enough games to go to the playoffs. They just didn't have Dak Prescott last year. I would submit you take most any team in the NFL, remove their starting quarterback, and see what they look like. What are the Kansas City Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes? What are the Buffalo Bills without Josh Allen? What are the Baltimore Ravens without Lamar Jackson? I'm not suggesting Dak at this point in his career is an MVP candidate, but certainly he makes Dallas better, which will be interesting to see how competitive this is. But they are without Micah Parsons in this game, and Prescott was asked during his media availability what losing Micah Parsons, what this trade means for this team.
I mean, we added a great player. Obviously, got some picks for the future. I'm not going to say we're better. We've got to go out there and prove it. We'd have to prove it even if he was on this team. So I'm not going to say that by any means. But I know adding a guy like Kenny Clark, adding a true leader, a real man that's going to only elevate this team, who's been a Pro Bowl player and is excited about being here. I know our focus right now is Philly. I think that's everybody's focus in that locker room. I don't think anybody's hung up on that. As I said, there's enough news and enough media about it. I think as much as anything, it's good that a solution happened. And obviously Micah got paid very well, and great for him and his family. And we'll see him here in about a month. So just honestly glad that I can't say glad, but yeah, glad that we're moved past that, and everybody seems happy because of it.
In addition to the 2 first-round picks, of course, Dallas got Kenny Clark from Green Bay, so a big run-stuffing defensive lineman. It'll be interesting to watch Kenny Clark in this ballgame tonight, of course, with the Eagles, with both Jalen Hurts and Saquon, who, had he played in Week 18 last year, would have broke the single-season rushing record, but he sat. What does that look like? It could be an immediate impact for a guy that Dallas added in that very controversial trade. NFL season returns tonight. Looking forward to it. Of course, the Saints will tee it up, kick it off Sunday noon in the Dome. You'll hear that in Baton Rouge on Eagle 98.1 and affiliates of the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Injury to insult is how we could phrase this. Defensive lineman Jeremiah Beeman was hurt in practice. He's out for the season. Lower body injury, not confirmed exactly the injury, but Kalen DeBoer on his radio show did confirm that Jeremiah Beeman out for the year. He was starting, by the way, in place of junior Tim Keenan, who remained sidelined with a lower body injury of his own. So Keenan was replaced by Beeman. Beeman's now out for the year, so he'll be in their third string interior defensive lineman this weekend against ULM.
The Florida Gators.
Billy Napier offered an update on defensive lineman Caleb Banks, who's recovering from a lower leg injury. Napier said that Banks is, quote, really close. Saw my picture next to Caleb Banks at SEC Media Days. He could eat me whole. Like he could literally just eat me. He's a massive, massive human. I suffered the injury, which a source previously told reporters that it was, quote, not serious. Suffered during training camp in August, but Banks was in a boot, did not play in week 1, and most likely eyeing a return against LSU a week from Saturday.
The Texas Longhorns.
Redshirt freshman defensive back Wardell Mack, former LSU commitment. He was arrested on a DWI charge, booked into Travis County Jail Wednesday morning, driving while intoxicated. Mack's only 19 years old, was released on bond. Played 4 games as a true freshman before taking the red shirt. Did not play in the team's loss to Ohio State last Saturday.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
OU lands in-state 2026 wide receiver Xavier Akwufuluweze.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, actually. I think that's good.
Oh. It's the W that's throwing me off. The WF. OKWF. Okufuluweze. Okufuluweze. I think that's it.
I thought you did pretty good the first time.
I know. Anyway, he's the 19th member of Oklahoma's class. He's the number 520 overall recruit in the country.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
And 4-star North Carolina offensive tackle J.B. Shabazz flipped from Tennessee to his home state Tar Heels. So I guess getting your behind kicked by TCU in the opener did not deter the 6'6", 315-pounder Shabazz from flipping from the Vols to the Heels. He's the 13th best player in the state of North Carolina. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, helping you cover the spread all year long. It is Rouse's. You're going to be tailgating for the Tigers or for the Saints. Make sure you get by Rouse's. You want to order your party platters and trays, go to the deli or call. You can do it. Have it ready for whatever time you want to pick it up. If you want their ribs, you want their sandwiches, the finger sandwiches, the mini muffalettas, the crawfish pies, the meat pies. They got all of it for you. Cheese trays, fruit trays, dessert trays. They can have you covered for game day over at Rouse's. They got your beers, your bourbons, your wines, your RTDs. They got it all at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, helping you cover the spread all season long for your tailgate, your home gate, your watch party. It's Rouse's. This feels like home. All right, y'all. It's after further review. Just about that time. We're going to knock out a break. When we come back, we welcome back Darin Tietgen to the show for our Fantasy Blitz. If you're new, if you're unindoctrinated, whotostart.net, it's pretty easy. You get personalized fantasy football advice. You ask him who to start, and he'll give you an answer. So get your questions in. Email us. Tweet us at Matt Moscona, or you can jump in the Bayou Forward YouTube chat on the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel, or you can text your question in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Fantasy Blitz is next.
AFR.
Man, if you're a business owner struggling with the hiring market since COVID, and I know we're 5 years removed from COVID, coming up 5.5 years removed from COVID, which is hard to believe, but the effects of that time are still being felt in almost every industry. The world changed. How people work changed. Some people don't go into an office anymore. The advent of Zoom and working remotely has stuck for so many industries. If you're amid this hiring market trying to find the right people and struggling, Glow Resources can help. They're based right here in Baton Rouge, and their job, as they say, Complete Employer Solutions, is to help you, the business owner, find the right people for whatever job it is that you have. It could be skilled blue-collar labor up to C-level management, anything in between in any industry. Check them out online to start that conversation at glowresources.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.net.
Who the hell are you?
Whotostart.net. The Fantasy Football Blitz. This is the Fantasy Football Blitz. Powered by whotostart.net.
All right, let's do it. Week 1 of the NFL season kicks off tonight. Time to welcome back Darin Tietgen. Not only year 14, 15, I don't know how many years we've been doing this now. Getting your personalized fantasy football advice. Darin, how are you, man?
Hey, Matt. Doing good. I think we are going on year 15 because I know my daughter wasn't even born when we started, and she just started her first year of high school.
Dude, we are so old now. Oh, man. Well, we're thrilled to have you back. We love telling people about whotostart.net. It's the numeral 2. You can get your personalized fantasy football advice, or maybe you get lucky, get a question in for Darin. Let's start like we always do with tonight's game. Eagles, the defending champs, Cowboys. Who we keeping an eye on tonight?
It's the usual suspects. It's Dak Prescott. It's CeeDee Lamb if you're looking at the Cowboys. Look for George Pickens to step up as that number 2 receiver. And then with Dak back and healthy, look for Jake Ferguson to actually become a viable tight end. Of course, on the other side, we got Barkley, we got A.J. Brown, of course, Jalen Hurts with the tush push. are the usual suspects there for the Eagles.
Sleepers for week 1.
Yeah, we got a few for you. We like Ollie Gordon, who is the rookie running back for the Dolphins. Kind of takes the Raheem Mostert role there. Devon Achane, not really a bell cow back, so look for Ollie Gordon, who's had a nice preseason, to step up and maybe get a touchdown for the Dolphins. Wide receiver, we got a couple for you. Xavier Legette versus Jacksonville should be a good play with Adam Thielen now back in Minnesota. And then we also like, especially in PPR formats, we like Wandale Robinson, wide receiver for the Giants. Malik Neighbors, obviously one of the best receivers in the league, but he can't do everything. So look for Russell Wilson to look for Wandale in the flat.
All right, get your questions in. You can email us, tweet us, or text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Let's start with Matt, who said, said who to start, Mayfield or Goff. He threw in another one, Tony Pollard or Travis Hunter in the flex. Who to start?
I think at the quarterback position, I think you're going to go with Baker Mayfield there. Obviously, with Godwin not playing, most likely you're still going to have two viable wide receivers and a good matchup for Mayfield. And then at the other position, I would lean towards Pollard there. He should see a lot of touches for the Titans. Scott
says Debo or Travis Hunter at flex. Who to start?
Oh boy, I mean, the talk, obviously, I'm sure everybody's been talking about Travis Hunter in terms of his usage. I mean, how many snaps is he going to get at wide receiver? I think I would err on the side of caution here and just go with Debo as that second wide receiver for that high-flying Commanders offense and see what the snap count looks like for the rookie Hunter.
Caleb says Devontae Smith or George Pickens. Who to start?
Yeah, that's obviously two guys going tonight, and the number two receivers for their respective squads. I think Devontae Smith is probably the safer bet. If you feel like you're in good shape to beat your opponent, I think I would just err on the side of caution and play Smith. But if you need a guy with a lot of upside, I think Pickens might get quite a number of targets tonight as well.
Greg, who to start? Half a point PPR. Darnell Mooney, Debo Samuel, or Rashid Shaheed. Who to start?
I think I'm going Shaheed there. Obviously, he's is going to kind of go as Spencer Rattler goes, but in the half-point PPR system, I think you want to go for the possible deep touchdown there, and Shaheed is definitely that. The other two guys, I don't think Mooney's actually going to play, or he's real questionable to play. So I think Shaheed's probably your home run threat there.
All right, Brennan needs help at flex. This is in a PPR league. He's got four names. He needs two of them, Darin. He's got David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Devontae Smith. Who to start?
I think you're going to go with the receivers there. I like Devontae Smith. We talked about him a little bit already. Calvin Ridley, I don't think there's really anybody else on that team, the Titans, that's going to get a lot of targets. So I think you could see like a 50-60% target share from the new rookie quarterback Cam Ward there. He likes Ridley quite a bit, and that matchup's not too bad. So I think I'd go Ridley and Smith there.
Daniel needs help at quarterback. He's got Dak or C.J. Stroud. Who to start?
Oh, boy. You're going to be pulling your hair out with those two guys all season, pretty much. Yeah, I would probably go to the upside of Dak now that he's healthy. He's got Pickens. I kind of liken Dak to this year's Joe Burrow. The defense is going to be terrible. They're going to be throwing a ton. I think you just go with Dak.
Who2start.net. It's the numeral 2, who2start.net. See if we can get a few more in here. Peyton has got another quarterback question. Kyler Murray or Dak Prescott? Who to start? Another one not be pulling your hair out.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip that around on this one. I mean, I like Dak enough, and I think he's going to be great this season and get you a lot of garbage time stats. But I think with the running ability of Kyler Murray and the matchup this week, I think I might lean Murray just slightly this week. We'll see what happens week 2, though.
Daryl needs help at tight end. He says, who to start, Jake Ferguson tonight or wait for Tyler Warren on Sunday? Who to start?
I'd probably roll the dice with Warren. He's garnering some rave reviews out of camp and through the preseason. I don't like the Miami defense too much. I think Warren gets involved, especially with Daniel Jones at quarterback. So I think you give the rookie a shot here.
All right, Ron needs help at quarterback. He's got 3, so this is a who to sit, Darin. He's got Dak, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy. So who you sitting among those three?
If he needs two of them, I would go with the first two. May and Dak are probably your best options. If you need one, then Dak, just go with Dak.
A lot of Dak questions here. Chris said who to start, Dak or Bo Nix?
Yeah, this one's close too. Looks like a lot of people were drafting quarterbacks around the same time in their drafts because those guys are kind of similarly ranked. But I think you go with Dak this week, which should be a shootout tonight in Philly.
One more, Eric, starter city. Say which two out of he's got Hampton, Austin Eckler, or Warren. So he's sitting one of those.
I'm definitely playing Hampton, or not Hampton, Warren. Just think that he's going to be the better of the two Steeler running backs, especially in PPR format. For Eckler, I think I'll probably sit him and go with Hampton over him, even though he's going to be splitting some time with Najee Harris. I want to see what the splits are for that Commander's backfield. Eckler's definitely not a bell cow type of back. He's more of just kind of a change of pace, ball catcher kind of player. So I think I'm sitting Eckler this week.
He is Darin Tietgen, hoot2start.net. Hoot2start.net, the numeral 2. Get your personalized fantasy football advice. We do it every Thursday. Happy football, Darin. We appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Yep, glad to be back. Thanks.
Of course, man. Look forward to it again next week. It's After Further Review. Our Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. DecisionCriticalBR.com. DecisionCriticalBR.com. Heading up to Ruston. Hour 2 next.
AFR.
Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah. They do shutters as well. Of course, it's Relief Windows. Brandon Holly and the gang over at Relief Windows do awesome work. Would always encourage you to, by the way, especially if you're in the greater Baton Rouge area, to go see them at their showroom on Airline Highway in Prairieville. You know where they are. So if you're on Airline, you're going south. You cross Highway 42, about a quarter mile on the right. You can't miss it. Big, beautiful facilities. As a matter of fact, the same designer that designed LSU football operations designed the Relief Windows showroom. So you'll see a lot of the synergies there. Color scheme as well with purple and gold. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Hey, one of the things, of course, that sets Relief Windows apart is a true lifetime transferable warranty. If other companies can say they offer a lifetime transferable warranty, but have they been around long enough to prove it? With Relief Windows, you don't have to worry about that. Windows, doors, siding, they do shutters as well. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com.